Okay, so good morning or good evening, all, based on wherever you are. This is our 27th PC Open discussion meeting. So we'll just go through the journals and then we'll come back to questions as we do. So
You've plugged into Nirvana.
those who are new in this meeting, the link has been updated to register for the next meeting. But if you are here today for the first time and want to be default attendee in future meetings, just drop your email and name in the chat area, and I'll make sure that you'll get an invite for future meetings. Okay, so let's start with some questions that we have, and then we'll kind of open it for everybody who didn't submit a question. So the first question is from Shahid, and Shahid is not yet here, but his question is, what is the best way to back up the Dynamics 365 on-prem production environment and then restore to create a test environment? In NAV 2009 R2, there was a facility to copy the company and then restore it to other server. So Shahid, you can still take the SQL backup of the database and then restore it wherever you want in the same SQL server or on a different SQL server. Uh, as far as the copy company is there, that feature is still there in Business Central, but as it says, it's copy company, so it just copies the company that you want to copy. So if you go to companies page, you will have an option to copy it, and then you can give the new name, new company name, and it'll set up on the same database. But if you are trying to create a kind of a sandbox thing on your on-prem installation, then you can always take a SQL backup of your database and restore it either on the same server or on a different server. So hope that answers your question. Let's move to the next question, which is from Jay Banerjee, and I guess he's here. As you mentioned, for NAV 2016, step one is to upgrade to Business Central 14 and then upgrade to 2020 release wave 1 or wave 2. But Business Central 14 does not have an Indian localization, and how we prepare NAV 2016. So yeah, Jay Banerjee, that article I guess that you are referring from, which I wrote last week, was based on the the product versions or the country localization which are available for everybody. India is one of the special cases where there was no release after NAV 2016, and I cannot guarantee, but I'm optimistic that Microsoft will come up with the data migration path from NAV 2016 to Business Central somewhere in future when that preview for India becomes a actual release. So there is not much info right now, but Jay Banerjee, does that info help? As in, I'm pretty sure that when Microsoft comes up with a full version of Business Central for India localization, they will have a migration path.
Okay, sure. I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that article was only pretending to the products or to the NAV versions which are available, and were following the Microsoft life cycle as as they are supposed to be.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to next question, and this is from Manish. And Manish, you are here. Is OneDrive is accessible for free if we have premium license of Business Central on cloud? And do we need to create account on it with the same login as of BC or any integration required? So Manish, can you try to help us? What's the requirement? As in, I'm pretty sure you'll not get a OneDrive license with your Business Center license. That's a separate kind of offering,
Okay,
right? It comes with
okay.
offers.
Yeah, I came to know about that OneDrive license is available with Office 365.
Right.
So it's not available with premium. I got it afterward, this update.
Okay.
And this is what I'm trying to replace FTP that currently I'm using with OneDrive. So I thought it's free for the premium license. So
No,
that's what I was looking for.
it's only Business Central. So the premium license includes your manufacturing module in your Business Central, right? Which is
Right,
not in there in the basic one. But it
right.
doesn't, Office licenses are still different than Business Central licenses. That still doesn't sold as one single license. So what do you want to integrate? Let's assume that you have a OneDrive license available with the same user.
Yeah, currently what we're using is we are saving the files from Business Central to FTP. So instead of FTP, I was thinking to switch to on OneDrive. So I thought integration would be required for that.
So as in you're reading files from FTP or you're writing files in FTP?
Writing file.
Yes, that will require an integration to kind of save it over there. And as far as I understand, there is nothing by default. You'll have to kind of uh,
Okay.
build that integration to write the data into your OneDrive.
Okay.
Okay, anything else that we can help you on this one before we move to next one?
No, no. Yes, we can proceed.
Okay. So next question is from Manikadan, and I don't see him here or her here, and it says I tried customizing workflow in BC. I followed the step based on that LinkedIn article, which we saw, I guess, 2-3 weeks ago, uh, from Shahid's request. And then the question says that create a new workflow template. I had to add workflow events, responses, and then select the on condition column. I had clicked the always link, but empty pop-up has opened. Here did not show any field. Hmm. So, as in, let me explain what Manigadan is trying to ask is when you go to your workflow page in Business Central, he's unable to click on it and see this page. Now, as far as I understand, Monica, then this page is populated based on the record that it attached to this particular event condition, and then system build this page based on whatever the primary key of that table is. So I don't know how you build that workflow, but that is from where it is built in. As in, if you are available next time, maybe we can talk more about it. Anybody else have any insights on it? The issue is that when he's clicking on this, he's not getting this pop-up message to set conditions on workflow. Okay, so maybe we'll wait for you, Manikandan, next time, and when you are here we can see what that is. So the last question for today, and then we'll open it for discussion, is our customer have customer in different parts of the world. They need to have item names printed in local languages in sales document. And how do we achieve that? So I don't see Suresh here, but I think I know how you can achieve that. And maybe let's see this in the Business Central tenant. And this is kind of been there in Nav for for as long as I know it, from Nav 2009. And I'm pretty sure it was older also. So let's pick an item. Let's say this item. Now this is the item that where which is being sold on different countries, and based on the location of that customer, they want the description to be printed as per their local language. So what you can do is you choose that item, and then when you go into related, you see something called as item translation. So you can define how this item will be called and named in your sales or purchase document based on the location or based on the language that is selected on the customer. So just for the demo, let's set up and let's use Google Translate to translate these. Text. And let's assume that I want it in Hindi, which is kind of India language, one of the language in India. Now, any customer who is from India, they want to see something like this. So what I can do is I can choose here the language code that I want, and I doubt that there is something for Hindi. No. So let's add one. And I can choose here the language code. Okay. So then I'll use that if a customer is using this language code, the description that will be used for this item is, let me open Notepad so that I can paste it there. Is this. And let's test it for some other language also. Let's say Italian, or no, let's say Italian. Okay. So there should be something for Italian. So, okay. Italian. So if a customer is using language Italian, this will get printed something like this. So you can define as many language as you have based on the customers that you have. And then I'll keep the number safe so that we can use it on the sales document. Now let's pick the customer where we want to sell it to. And let's pick this customer. So on the customer card, there is a language code, as you can see here. If I choose that language based on the setup that we just created right now, this one is Hindi, let's suppose. And if I create a sales order for this customer, so the sales order is in place. Let's put the item. And this will bring the language, as in the translation text from item translation. And I'm pretty sure that when you post this, it will also be used in the reports. Let's try to print a report out of it. Okay. I don't see that here. So let's post it and we'll print that then. Okay. It's posting in the background. Okay. No. Okay. Take a little bit of time. So this description will go as it is on your posted invoice. And then if I'll print the report, I'm pretty sure that Microsoft had added the translation logic into the reports also. Okay, and it didn't understand that language, but if that is not, so the report did not understand that language translation. It tried its best, as in the the text was this. So it tried to convert that into the text, but then this part, which is on the local language, the report did not understand. Is it anybody know? I thought it should
So,
support it.
sort of, this might be font related issue, but can you try for Italian? You did translation for Italian as well, and that is in same English kind of script or whatever you say it, printing style. So I think if you try for Italian, that should work.
Okay, let's give it a try, because yeah, as far as I know, it should get transferred there. So let's pick another customer and we'll change the language to be Italian. And here is the language for Italian, ITA. Let's create an order again and paste the number there. It brings that text from the translation. Then when we post this, and try to print this, so it did translate, but I think it's maybe, as you are saying, maybe it's related to font that need to be installed on my Docker container at this point. But if I install that font that will support the Indian language that I just used, the report will be able to translate while printing that invoice. So this is one of the old, I guess, one of the old feature that some people don't know or don't remember, but most of the customer who have international clients and they want their invoice to be printed, item numbers or names should be printed into the local language. I've seen them using item translation, and this will fulfill what I guess, Suresh, you were asking. Let me see. So yeah, from item, if you go to translation, you can use any different text based on the country that your customer is. Okay, so that was this. Hope that helps you, Suresh. And then I have an old one with Josh, and I don't see Josh here, but I'm still working on some of these. I didn't have time, as in, we talked about this creating the zip file last time. Those who have seen the video after our session yesterday on the last week, and let me open that source code to tell you guys what I actually did correct on that. So what we understand after the recording, when I started looking at this code, is you cannot pass any stream as a reference. And when you pass any stream as a reference, it actually fails. And the way I kind of understand it is based on a comment that came from YouTube, that it's a passing any stream is a known issue as a reference. So let me find that comment. There was a GitHub link attached to that. So that was the problem that we were facing last time, because we were passing that any stream as a variable. But when I removed that reference and tried testing that, it actually worked the way it is supposed to be. So let me see if I find that. Okay, link here. So this is the last week recording, and there was some comment. Don't you need, no, not this one. Okay, here is that. Thank you for fixing. Nice to know. It seems to be an old problem. I would like to get a compilation error, but yeah, that was not there. And maybe you can tell more about this issue next week. So this was the issue, and it is kind of accepted by Microsoft on this GitHub link, where they are trying to fix this in the future releases. But when you pass any stream variable as a reference to a function, it doesn't actually return you the expected output the way it should be. It's, we didn't get an error message, but the person who kind of reported this had a sample example where he was trying to pass as as a reference here, and that was generating this error message. And when I read more about it, I saw that there's a plan to ship it in future update. But keep an eye just on this, not on this example, but in general, while you are coding for BC in AL, make sure that you don't pass your in streams as reference anywhere. Otherwise, you'll end up with the same kind of issue what we faced last week. Okay, I guess, let me see. That was one question. So these two we have talked about. And Josh, I'm working on one of these. As soon as I get some time, we'll surely discuss about these two things also as we go forward. But now I'll kind of open it for questions. I have nothing much this week as in from the questions perspective. So anybody has any questions that we can talk about?
Saurabh, I have a question related to debugging.
Okay.
Okay, the thing is that it's a maybe like because in 16.5 BC 16.5 we have the apps.
Right.
Okay, so we have installing the different apps on the BC 16.5, and if I need to debug one of the app, so I have to open that app and then debug that, or how it is going to be? Because sometimes we don't get, sometimes for the add-ons we don't get the app, maybe source code for the app file.
Yeah, so there are 2-3 things in that, as in the app developer can decide that can you debug their code or not, even if you have the app file. Okay. So there are different contexts in the code where they can write that is it debuggable or not. And let me open kind of an empty project if I have, which is connected. So if they have kept it debuggable, let's assume, in that case, you will have to find that instance where their code will take precedence and put a debugger point just before that. So like if there is a subscriber to a base table that you know where that event will be fired, you can actually put a debugger point just before that scenario. And if the code is debuggable, go ahead.
Yes, sometimes we don't know like where exactly we need to start from the scratch, like from the first point we have to start, we put the debugger point, breakpoint, and then we start the debugging. So in that case, suppose we have some other app is there on that, but I don't know because how that will reach to that app, whether the issue with that the new app or it's with the Microsoft standard app. So in that case, what will happen?
So are you trying to debug because there is an issue, or?
Yes, there is an issue.
Okay, so I think this is the way that as in we, the old kind of nav developers, need to kind of rethink how we used to fix issues in the past. So with the app word, when you get an issue that you think maybe is because of an app, I would suggest to create a separate Docker environment of the same version that you have.
Okay.
And only deploy that app into it.
Okay.
Once the app is deployed, replicate your scenario.
Okay.
If you are still getting an error or a problem, then even if you know where the error is, let's suppose you can debug it, you can't fix it, right?
Yes.
So there is no point of spending time into finding where the problem is, because you just need to provide the scenario to the app developer, whosoever that company is, and tell them that I have tested it with this cumulative update of this version with your app, and please fix it.
Okay.
Now the similar rule applies for Microsoft also, right?
Okay.
If there is a problem that you see in one of the project where you, let's say, just to pick in version 17.3 was a version where you went live with a customer and they have no customs, no add-ons, the best case scenario. And they
Okay.
found a problem of slowness on a page or a bad performance during posting of sales order. Even you spend time on debugging that problem, what you can do as as a partner developer? Nothing,
Yeah, we can't do anything.
right? So you actually will have any problem that your customer faces, you need to find out which app is the root cause of that problem and then report that problem to that app developer company. So if it
Okay.
is Microsoft, then it becomes a Microsoft ticket. If it is a ISV,
Mhm.
then it becomes a ISV ticket with the
Okay.
replication scenarios.
Okay. Okay.
So, as in that can be ways that you can debug, but there's no point until unless it's your own app.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
No?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Saurabh.
Thanks. Anybody else have any questions?
Yes, Saurabh.
Yeah, Jignesh.
One scenario is that between two subscriber events, I need
Right.
to set up one variable value. That first subscriber event, I am setting up a variable value, global variable, and that is an
Mhm.
incremental value based on like in the sales line, I am sum up the total of amount, and
Mhm.
after the sum of that amount, I would like to use that variable value into that another event. That is another subscriber event. So, what we should do for that in that case?
And I don't know it's a right or wrong solution, but there are two ways that you can handle it. I'll prefer the later way, but I'll tell you the way that maybe you want to hear, which is that you can, but it's a little bit tricky, that you can make that subscriber code unit as a single instance so that it keeps the value of that variable till the session is closed by that user. Now, why I said it's a trickier situation is because until unless that session get closed, the user actually logs out from that tenant, that value will be preserved. So you need to make sure that before next call of the same subscriber code unit, you clear that variable. The other way, which I would prefer, is not a way that you would have dealt it in the nav world, is to actually create a variable to store actually create a field to store that sum into whatever table that you are trying to do it. Right? It's just a field for a temporary calculation and then use it on your other subscriber. The reason is if you go into that single instance route, you might cause in other, get stuck with other issues that your code may have. So I'd rather prefer to store it like, there are temporary tables now in Business Central. So create a temporary table to hold that some value against that document number. Even if you don't want to create a new table extension, just create a temporary table. It will be remain in the memory till the point that transaction is happening, and read that summation value from that temporary table record. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have anything else?
Hi, Sora. This is Steve Endo. I had one question
Steve.
about custom APIs or creating a custom API. I was testing a simple modification to the vendor the vendor page API, and I added the US 1099 code field. I was able to then use a get to retrieve the field value from BC. That was super simple, worked really well. I was wondering if I have not yet tested. I need to test it. If I do a post to essentially import a new vendor into BC, do I need to do additional validation on that field value, or is BC automatically doing field validation as part of the write to the database table, or as part of the table object? Does that question make sense?
Yes. So I did watch your video where you were testing that.
Okay.
So when you did that register thing on validate of that field,
Okay.
that will actually call the validate of that function. So you
Okay.
don't,
Great.
Yeah,
That's what I
because that
guessed. I wasn't sure.
yeah, because that's how it does it based on that one single function, and it's based on that field ref and rec ref. I might not have my PC open, but let me see if it is in nav or not.
So as long as it's a existing standard BC field, I should be able to add it to an API without doing my own additional validation.
Right.
And so if I enter a completely invalid value, 1, 2, 3, when it expects a code of MISC, I should get an error.
Yes, you should. As in,
Okay.
if you see,
Okay.
and this is kind of similar to what you were doing, but this is nav screen. But whenever this happens, like this is your, I guess, customer entity. Yeah. So
Okay.
whenever
Yep.
the value is validated from the API, this function is called
Yep.
register field set, right?
Yep.
And this validates that field number with that, and then do the insert.
Got it. Okay.
So
and that validate, is there code behind that? Like, what if it's an enum and only 4 specific values are supported? Is validate automatically say, hey, I'm going to check that against the enum and this is valid or invalid?
So this one is actually doing this check. Let me see what it is doing. It's saying that go to the field table, find from the field table that table number and field number does exist. And if it finds
okay, got it.
it's that. It doesn't do that. Let me see where it is. Because yeah, but your API page is sourced from the base Microsoft table, right?
Yep, correct.
So anytime you put a value, that on validate trigger of Microsoft table will be fired against that.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I'm so used to like the .NET world where all the validation needs to occur at the higher levels, like a business layer, application layer. I'm just not used to having the data layer automatically do that for me. So
yeah, because
okay.
the way it will work is that like this is the customer entity. So anytime I'll enter a value based on this field, based on this page, even if there is no code on the validate,
yep,
it will come here and look for the validate trigger on that particular field, which is something like this.
Fantastic.
And that will call that.
Excellent. Okay, I'll do some post tests and just see if I can confirm it validates it and make sure I don't break anything.
No, that makes sense.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything?
Saurabh Dhanraj this side.
Yes,
and I have a question. Web key, is there a way we can get the web key programmatically? I know web key will be discontinued in 2022, but currently I tried, there is a page, user page, and there it displays we can check the web key, right? So that is using some .NET component, and when I tried it, it says that it can be done in on-prem version only, and I was not able to get the web key through program, through code.
Oh, so we are talking about this key.
Yes. So if this value is generated and I want to access it, I want to get this value through code. So how to do that?
Okay, I have never done it, but that's something good to look at. And this is what page?
So maybe in the last screen you could say you could generate it, right?
Yeah, I could, as in, yeah, it was saying that, but let me see the page number, and we'll see that page there in the development environment, which is this is 9807. Let me create a new. Okay. Sorry, HTTPS symbols. Okay. Okay, so we are talking about the web access key tab, which is Windows authentication, and then Windows username, ACS, not username, password, web service access. It says edit web service ID. Okay. Set web service ID. So did you try something like this, as in calling this kind of code?
Yeah, I've tried. See, 1 minute.
Zoom it in. And I have never done it, so that's why I'm not sure, but I'm just saying.
Edit, not edit, just there will be web service ID or something. So it is just a second.
Yeah, so this is the function that is being called at that action when you click on that field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what it is saying that is if you are allowed, otherwise it'll give you an error. If you confirm, then it checks the security ID.
yeah,
And then if it finds it, then it says set the record and set table view, which is for a page. Okay, now that page is called, which is this page, set web service access key. And in this page, that pop-up that we just saw, right?
right.
But next to that, on query close, it creates this. This is kind of the function. If it's okay, and if never expire, then this is the function.
Mm.
Identity
Yeah,
management.
yeah. I went to this only identity management. If you go to identity,
Create,
if you just
create.
copy this line of code and yeah,
You're saying it's on-prem, tagged as on-prem? Oh yeah,
yeah,
tagged as on-prem.
yeah. So basically, if you use this, if use user account helper dot try create this one.
You can't, because you're talking about the sandbox, and you will not be able to, because these functions are tagged as on-prem, right?
So how to yeah? Now the question is there a way or is it?
Now, if it is tagged as a scope on-prem, then you'll have to create a Docker to test whatever you're doing, a on-prem Docker container, so that this can
I,
run
I was doing on Docker container only,
on-prem.
not on-prem.
You'll have to pull that image of on-prem. Like I'm using a sandbox one, and I'm pretty sure that when I'll click on this, it will give me an error.
No, no, it's working.
It's working?
Yeah, if you generate this, you will get the key.
Wow.
The key is generated, key is there. So now what I was trying to get this generated key using a program. We can copy paste it, we can save it,
Right.
right? So, but I wanted to get this through code.
But how this is executing?
Yeah, that was a bit surprising for me as well.
Because as far as I know, anything that is tagged as on-prem should not be executing on you know SaaS environments. Because yeah, if you try it with code, you'll end up with an error message that you should tag your extension as on-prem because the function that you're trying to use is on-prem.
Right. And if you go into this user account helper, what is this user account helper? It's a .NET.
It's a .NET component in on-prem. I'll have to see what it is here.
Yeah, it's a .NET component. So if you just copy this line of code somewhere else, if you don't limit it on-prem, we just copy this line of code, that's also not working.
Yeah, because this is against a .NET component, right? Which is also not supported on SaaS sandboxes. So if you try creating a Docker container based on a on-prem image of Business Central, I think this will work in that case.
But as you rightly said that now we are able to generate this key. So how is it working in this case?
That's something I'll have to test maybe on my actual sandbox and not the Docker sandbox to see is it still works there or not. Because if it works on my sandbox, then that's a little bit surprising, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
I'll give it a try. Let's see what it is.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else have anything for us today?
One more question, which might be very maybe easy thing. See, is there a way we can get the IP address of Docker container through code? Like, let me tell the problem statement in detail. I have published some custom APIs, and I want to get the URL of the custom APIs. So there is this thing that means the default, what do you call? There is a URL generated which has your Docker container, then tenant name, and then company name and all.
Right.
And if I want to get the IP address, so is there a way? And the second question is, I was not able to access my Docker container from outside world. So is there any firewall related exposed through firewall? Anything required related to exposing through firewall?
And Steve just left, I guess, but he actually faced this issue, and I never even off.
His issue was related to he did not add tenant as default or something. That's
No,
all.
I'm talking about accessing Docker from outside.
Okay.
He faced this issue while he was on PTO or something, and I'm pretty sure he recorded a video about it because I remember seeing it. He was explaining the problem, that what actually happened and how he fixed it.
Mhm.
So I'll surely go to Steve's channel and find that video about that Docker thing.
I'll do that. Yeah, I'll also do that. Fine.
Okay,
And
and as
IP
far
address.
as you said IP address in your AL code?
Yeah.
Okay, how I'll get IP address in AL code?
My idea is to generate that URL dynamically and should be accessible from outside. So if it is able, if firewall issues not there, means exposed through firewall, even if it works even without IP address, I'm okay with that. If I can get IP address, that's even better.
Right, as in general, forgot about Docker, but how I'll get my IP address of my machine, let's say my server, in my AL code. I guess that's the whole point, right? If you can kind of do
Yeah.
fetch of IP address in AL code,
Mhm.
that will give you that, because when your code is executed, that is executing inside Docker. So the local host becomes your Docker machine IP.
Right.
That's something I'll have to search. I have never done a IP scan on my CAL or AL code. I'm not sure about it. I'll check though. If I find something, I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Anyone else have anything? Last week I was playing with this new email feature. If you guys are reading it on the blog, it's super cool. I still have to kind of learn how to kind of customize that process, but it's the new email one is super cool. Okay. Anyone else have anything?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So Manish, were you able to figure out that way to kind of read the JSON file? I haven't done my. I'm kind of busy with some go lives right now. But did you try that? Reading the JSON files?
Uh, yes, Saurav, I did try that, but didn't got any success.
Do you have a scenario that you can share with me, maybe on an email later, and I'll give it a try, and maybe we can discuss that in the next meeting.
Okay,
The
I'll
like
I'll
the scenario that you gave last time, right? About the
right,
kind
right,
of
right.
exporting it out.
So I'll give you the exact scenario what I'm doing. So I'll mail you tomorrow.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because I also want to complete that circuit. Based on your question, I did learn that piece. So if I learn the other side of the fence, then it'll be a complete circuit for me for future also.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So if no one else have anything, I guess we can call it for the day.
Yes, sure.
And then I have seen David, I guess you have added your email, and Kirtika, I guess you have added your email. Okay. And yeah, David, it looks like the Unicode problem, but is it because of the language, as Dhanraj was saying, or is it the Unicode problem?
No, generally, if you have a incorrect Unicode, it displays a strange font. Those little square boxes look like the whatever you're rendering the report in didn't have Unicode, and therefore it just rendered it as square boxes, which is what normally happens with Unicode.
So
Yeah, I think I also agree with what David is saying.
so in those situations, the countries that don't use like especially the Chinese language and some other languages, how they will work with it?
Well,
As in,
Unicode covers all. You don't need fonts now with Unicode. You just, as long as it's a Unicode font, it'll cover everything. So it could be that the font doesn't support Unicode, or the browser didn't support Unicode, but something in there is. I'm just saying that's the direction it looks to me. Is that that's a Unicode issue?
yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I guess that change happened in 2013 when we switched to Rolltail
Correct.
offline, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that
That's
makes
why
sense.
data in Navision used 8 bits, and in everything else now uses 256. I mean 16-bit. That's why you have double bytes for storing a letter. So a
Right.
text field of 10 characters actually requires 20 bytes to store it in, because it's being stored in Unicode. So that Unicode stores that other information. It's not like the old version of Navision when you had to have a code page for a font.
Yes.
So
Right.
some reason it's very likely that whatever, I don't know what you would, because I couldn't catch it on my screen. I had the screen too small. But how were you printing that? That was in the rendering. What were you doing that in a browser?
Yeah, in the browser. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's strange because the browser obviously supports Unicode. So it's something between Navision generating the report and the font that it's being transferred at, because Navision's storing the font, the Unicode correctly. The browser should display it, but somewhere in between there's a mismatch.
Right, because I have used the translation feature in past. May not be with the language that I was testing it today, but it normally works with with all the reports, understanding that and then converting that text into the print.
It could also be Google Translate. It's very possible that whatever, what browser were you using for the Google Translate?
So I was using the this Microsoft Edge, new Edge, which is Microsoft Chromium now.
Yeah, okay. So that's Chrome. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe use a Firefox browser and see if it was thing, or it could be the translate, or try a different language, try Russian or Chinese, and see what happens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because somehow that font is it's not, the Unicode isn't translating correctly from Navision to the rendering tool.
Right, that makes sense.
Another option is to try and print it physically on paper, and maybe your printer will fix it. Then you'll know if it's the data or what's going on. But
Yeah, because the data seems in Navision data seems correct. When I went to the posted invoice, it actually looks correct. So yeah, I'm also inclining toward that it might be the Unicode thing.
You can try saving it as PDF and check what is the result in PDF.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. PDF, Dhanraj, that would be even better than printing. PDF's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll surely test that one. But okay. So yeah, as in I'll try to schedule next week. I have a go live coming up. So if it kind of falls on that next Saturday, I might skip next Saturday. But otherwise, everybody will get an invite for next Saturday.
Yeah, add me to the list. It's interesting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. See you next week.
Thank you, Saurav.
Yeah.
And hi, Dhanraj. Long time no see. How
Yeah,
are you?
long time. Good to see you. I noticed your name first in the email sent by Saurabh today. So
yeah,
yeah.
Let's keep in touch.
Sure, definitely.
Bye.
Let's connect on Twitter. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye, guys.